The interior of the club, I think that the best way to put it is, it sets the stage.
People take a space and they build a nightclub in anything.
Maybe there's parts of this room that are really interesting that we can incorporate into the design.
Studio 54 was basically an old theater where TV shows were filmed.
So they use the technology of the theater. You have the bridge to go up and down, the front and back.
The set moved, it was interactive. It was another character in the crowd.
The Limelight's claim to fame had always been that it was a church. And look what they did to the church. So when they came in, we gave them, the inside was beautiful.
You don't fight what you have. So obviously we had the beauty of the aesthetics of the church. So it wasn't we wanted to make the church now look like a warehouse.
We just took the old church and accentuated what was there a lot. We lit the Tiffany glass windows, stained glass windows from behind. Nobody ever did this.
The great thing about finding spaces in New York is they're so eclectic and different. When I first found my first space, Lot 61, what was so thrilling was that it was a garage in the middle of nowhere. There was kind of nothing around. It was very desolate and abandoned, and that kind of inspired me in terms of its architecture, and super high ceilings gave it such an energy flow in terms of being powerful and sexy.
This particular space was formerly a gay porn theater before it was a full nude strip club.
We did think to ourselves like, oh, you know, like strip joint, maybe it's got some bad vibes. We just didn't get that vibe here. Something felt really right. A level of sort of debauchery that people felt comfortable with getting into here.
The fact that this went from meat storage facility to gay porn theater to full nude strip club to dance club, I think there's beauty in the originality of those types of spaces.
Things have like layers of lives. We like that. We like the feeling that there's multiple layers underneath what's there right now. Although you're living in the moment, that people have been gathering there for a long time or doing different things there, and you're part of a long continuity of activity.
We are using a found space, but it doesn't necessarily have some of the qualities that they were talking about that New York spaces had back in those times. The space that we've been given, even though this is designed to be a moving exhibition, like thinking about the dimensions and what the space is actually doing. So I really quickly and crudely built a model of the site, placed it in the location where it would be in Milan, so I'd get a sense of what the light was doing. So that's the real space there. Okay. And then this is that's a render of it.
Lee is architect, interior architect. But he's a builder. He's an extremely hands-on guy who he's immediately making it, testing it.
Physical model making, I really enjoy it because it's a chance to make things, to get an understanding of what's involved, what might be involved in actually making the final thing. The sort of idea that we're looking to generate is this concept of new perspectives. How can we change the way that people look and interact with the space? Some of the earlier concepts that I came up with were based around this idea of origami. I've sort of cut these pieces to sort of fold them up to experiment, see what they're going to actually look like in the space. The great thing about using the laser cutter is that very quickly you can go from a 2D sort of shape and then sort of output that, prototype it, test it, photograph it, and actually see if your strategy is going to work. I think I've got all these components, and the idea is I'm sort of testing out elements within the space. I just don't know what I'm going to do with these things yet.
The way he approaches it, it's physical. He's working with his hands. He starts folding it, he starts constructing it almost on the spot. And I think that's a very strong way of working. There's a kind of direct line from your ideas into the realization of it.
I mean, I'm working with this idea of these planes that are folding and bending and twisting, but you don't really have to have like a clear idea of where it's going. It can be an experimental thing. You can see these very thin light elements floating above you, but I also think that you can see them sitting on the ground, creating areas of seating from the floor, turning into a wall, and then turning into a ceiling space. But also the idea is when you have like a doorway or an entrance into the space, that you can start to indicate sort of what's going on the inside from the outside and sort of draw people through. I want people to want to know what's going on in there.
I think the experience starts from the second you walk up to a place.
You have to balance things being surprising and unexpected with things being something you're more accustomed to.
We tried to make Electric Room kind of a high-end rock and roll vibe. People are very surprised when they walk down there to see what it is. Going through the garage, I didn't know how people were going to react to that, to be honest with you.
Where everything is a little bit like, where am I? Where is this person taking me?
There's graffiti all over here and street art, and then all of a sudden you walk into a room that's like a 180-degree turn from that. It's the unexpected turning into the more unexpected, but a pleasant unexpected.
I mean, I think you want to totally have a couple of these triggers that just connect with people on a very, very deep personal level. Look at like La Esquina. First you walk up and you say like, oh, this is a crappy little diner. Then you walk in and then you have to go through the employees only door. You get downstairs and then you have a hostess and then she walks you into a kitchen, through the kitchen, out into another hallway, around the corner, and then, only then, do you walk into some catacomb-like dark candlelit room. It's a suspense. I mean, it's a pretty beautiful payoff.
If you enter a club, it's like a kind of other world. A club is very much about changing perspectives. Adam's really thinking about changing perspectives. What does that mean? What's the story you go through if you enter that club?
When I design parties, I throw something really unexpected at people. Basically, the worst thing to do is for people to walk in through the front doors. It's the worst thing. I want to take them through the back alleyway. I want to pick them up 2 miles from the party and transport them in a bus while like screaming drag queens are kind of insulting them and pouring them shots.
Adam has such a rich imagination, and sometimes you think, where does that come from? He can truly surprise me. Sometimes it's a bit weird, but it's so nice and it's so authentic. He has ideas and he needs ways to express it. It's brilliant to have him on board.
You just think about what things could happen at different times. The entrance, as you arrive, you go into the magical tunnel. Maybe people should start with like the remote lounge and they should have to like kind of gain points. Maybe as they connect in the remote lounge, they're able to kind of go into the mirror maze and then they have to go through the mirror maze. Maybe I can throw in the people strapped into belays on the mezzanine and jumping from side to side. It should go till like 7 a.m. Like that would be awesome. You know, it's all about just creating one night that'll create a lasting impression for the rest of their lives, creating a memory that people will never forget.
Now, he's extremely spontaneous and intuitive and indeed throws out many ideas, and then sometimes you need to filter that a bit, or you cannot do everything, obviously. Lee is tactile, physical, making things and seeing if it works or not. It's also throwing out ideas, but it's less storytelling, theatrical, it's more hands-on, grounded, make it. And I think the process in itself is similar. And that's what we're looking for in the designers, is that they have ideas.
Imperfections, human error. A lot of inspiration from amateurs, really. Show life a little bit like it is, you know. Not all just polished, and don't sand all the edges off. And not all the lines line up or so, because they don't in life, you know.
There's an art to creating a space that people want to be in and are dying to be in for hours and hours.
The art of a club, you have to have things that people find, things that people think about.
It can be very little things. Not everything needs to be huge and big. It's the little things that make you smile, maybe. That's what makes it very thrilling and exciting.